In the previous segment, we touched on the issue of the border. We heard from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi blaming President Trump for the crisis at the border. It's really amazing. This administration hasn't even been in place 2 months. I mean, we're almost there, almost to 2-month mark. And they've already, it's a train wreck. What is happening at the southern border is a disaster. And they're like a cat in the sandbox trying to cover their tracks on this. Here was the White House press secretary, Ms. Psaki, yesterday talking about this.
We recognize this is a big problem. The last administration left us a dismantled and unworkable system. And like any other problem, we are going to do everything we can to solve it. So our focus here is on solutions.
I was at the border about a year ago, actually just almost a year ago to the date. And as I mentioned earlier, it was like a ghost town. The problems have been solved. It was the policy had been put in place, stay in Mexico, you can apply, we'll process you, but until your number comes up, you're going to stay on the other side of the border. That's not the case now. A historic number of children now coming into the country unaccompanied. Now, remember how big of a problem that was at the beginning of the Trump administration? It's eclipsed that. Why? Well, joining me now to talk more about this is Congressman Michael Cloud. He represents the 27th Congressional District of the Lone Star State. He is a member of the National Security Subcommittee, and he was on the border yesterday with a delegation of Republicans from the House, and he joins us now. Congressman, welcome back to the program.
Well, thank you. It's good to be back with you.
So, Congressman, what did you see at the border yesterday?
Well, this is, I've taken a number of trips there, maybe 4 or 5 over the last couple of years. Yesterday, we visited the El Paso Central Processing Center. And so this is a facility that was built about a year ago. It was built to supposedly be able to hold any major surge of activity. It was built to expand. And while we were there yesterday, it was the first day that they reached capacity, just a year after it was built. And they were already looking to kind of put some sort of makeshift place to process people in the parking lot. And so this is tragic. It's 1,040 people's capacity there. Of that, about 800 to 900 of them were unaccompanied minors. And so it's sad to see that we're at this point, and for certainly the Biden administration to continue to point fingers at the Trump administration is really disingenuous at best.
So, Congressman, you've been there 4 or 5 times. You've seen the progression. As I said a year ago, I was there, and I mean, literally, Border Patrol agents were kind of twiddling their thumbs because there just wasn't that many people coming in. What's changed since a year ago?
Well, a number of executive orders came down, some on day one, again, of the Biden administration. One of the big things was the Remain in Mexico policy, where basically we said, okay, if you're going to come avail yourself and claim asylum and all these kind of things, you're going to wait in Mexico until your court date. And what that did was it took away the magnet of people coming here. And when we talk about this, it's really important to understand that this is not this organic surge of people yearning for freedom and prosperity. And certainly there's an element of that. But this is a cartel-driven phenomenon of which they profit thousands of dollars off of each migrant that comes across. And so we're looking in February at 100,000 migrants that we say were apprehended, and we use that term. Usually they're apprehending our guys. Actually, they're hunting us down as opposed to us arresting them, so to speak. But 100,000. Right. And so we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars just in the human trafficking aspect, not to mention the drug cartel and many of the other things that these cartels have their fingers in. And we're, in a sense, aiding and abetting them with our policies now.
The president, in his executive order regarding the southern border, he says, quote, "Securing our border does not require us to ignore the humanity of those who seek to cross them." He He says, we are both, and this comes from the Homeland Security Secretary, we are a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. Both of which is true. We are a nation of laws and immigrants, but legal immigrants, not people coming here to break the law. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about people that are entering the country illegally.
Right, and it's easy to conflate these two issues. Immigration and border security are related, but they are different issues. My wife is an immigrant, and so I was at her citizenship ceremony when she said the Pledge of Allegiance for the first time, and others were there as well, becoming citizens with tears streaming down their face. They had gone through the process. They had done it right, and there's definitely some room for discussion on what we can do to reform that process and make it better.
Agreed.
But border security is essential to us being a nation. And if you think of what we're doing as these nations, Mexico and these other nations in Central and South America, are trying to develop stable economies where they can have, a thriving population and incomes come up. But with the cartel influence creating such a disabling, corrupting force in their countries, and we're by and large funding it. We talk to people at the border, our great men and women who signed up to serve and to protect and to secure the border. And they said many of them are feeling now the morale is low. Some are quitting because they feel like they're now just part of the cartel mechanism in a sense. So we're the last mile, so to speak. The cartel brings them this far, then we process them. Then our capacity is getting overwhelmed in so many aspects. And so we either release them to the public where they're picked up oftentimes by the cartels who keep track of them.
Right.
And so this is devastating. They're having to pay thousands of dollars. They continue to owe them money even after they get here. And unfortunately, some are taking them out. Many young ladies are getting abused in the process as well.
Wow. And I would think the Border Patrol agents are getting whiplash with the radical change. I mean, the dramatic changes between administrations when it comes to the policies on the border. Congressman Cloud, thanks so much for joining us today. As always, great to talk with you.